Hello and welcome to Rolling with Two. I'm Will, and with me as always is the most wanted heroine herself,
Sarah.
And today we're doing a two-player perspective and accessibility for Deadwood. Sarah, tell us a bit about this game.
All right, Deadwood is a worker placement game set in the Old West, where players are gangs of outlaws vying for control over a boomtown, and whoever makes the most money wins.
Yeah, it's important to note that this is not tied to any intellectual property or...
Right.
I think Cheap Ass Games also did a Deadwood, but they were Deadwood USA.
It was Deadwood Studios.
Studios USA.
Yeah, this is the original Deadwood for board games. I think came out in 2011.
From Fantasy Flight.
From Fantasy Flight. So, yeah, has nothing to do with any other Deadwood.
Okay.
That being out of the way.
Yes.
Will, how does the game change for two players?
There are no changes. In fact, there are not even a bot to worry about.
Nope.
Unless you consider the sheriff. Then you have to deal with Sheriff Nanaman. But he just prevents you from fighting. So.
And it's more of just a tool you use to...
Yes, he's not a bot.
No, he's not a bot.
He's just a character.
Yep.
Oh, Nanaman's a character.
So what are some two-player issues?
None?
Yeah, we couldn't think of anything. I mean, I'm not going to say every two-player couple out there is going to enjoy this game, but there was nothing wrong with it for the two-player experience.
Yeah, in fact, I would say Sarah doesn't really like this game, but it had nothing to do with the mechanics of the game.
It had nothing to do with how I felt a two-player game played.
Yeah.
So let's move on what it does well for a two-player game that's very fast. It's a quick game.
Yeah, when we originally got the game, I didn't have the words to describe what this is. But now that I have a bit more experience under my belt, what it is a very quick tactical game.
Yes.
And two players, it plays like greasy lightning.
Yep. And you have very meaningful choices. I expected this game to be a bit more chaotic, and I do think it would be at higher player counts.
Right.
But at a two-player, it's like Will said, it's tactical. I think I would relate it a bit to like King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo is at higher player count really chaotic, but at a two-player game, it's very tactical. And I feel like this has that same dynamic for its gameplay.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be a little bit of chaos and throw in and actually shoot down one of Sarah's workers, which I actually did.
Yeah, you shot one of my guys.
In fact, that was the first time I could think of actually killing a worker while we played this game.
Yeah, because when we first got it back in like, I don't know, 2013, I think is when we bought it. We played it a couple of times, but I was really not. I mean, like, I actually thought I hated it back then. I probably did hate it back then. But we played it again more recently because it was on this list of, okay, we have mixed feelings about these games. We should figure out how we feel so we can keep them or get rid of them.
Yeah. So I shot her. Thought I was doing well. Sarah's like, okay. I'm going to go here. Going to do this thing. And then I'm going to win.
Yeah. I just told Will, it's like, I don't think I like this game, but I'm going to win. And I did.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when it comes to a two-player experience, if you're looking for tactical, this is it.
Yes.
All right, accessibility. This is where, unfortunately, it shows its age. The graphic design is really poor. It lacks good contrast with a lot of things, text, icons. None of the icons are what I would call at a glance, which are very, very simple icons. So you can see at a glance what it is. You're going to have trouble here.
I would call it sepia.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're going for, this is where when someone chooses aesthetics of a game over accessibility of a game, and the aesthetics of this are all browns, all shades of tan and brown, you don't have that much to work with. The other thing that's really hilarious is the little cowboy tiles. The cowboys have really interesting art. The problem is you need to know
their strength.
Their strength. And the thing is, if the pictures were more distinct, you could go by the picture, but they're not. They all blend. So on the other side, it actually has a big, bold number. So we played with the number side up because you could see it, and it's just too small on the picture side.
Yeah, the real stumbling part is the buildings, because the buildings are where all the meat of the game is for the various types of actions to get this token, lose that token, gain this money. There is a lot of iconography on it, and so you're constantly needing to reference the rule books. Fortunately, someone did put up a document on BGG that has a chart.
It's 1-page chart, has all the names, and then the 2 different actions that can be done with the building. It's all in just plain English, no iconography. So if you know you want to move to the bank, you can just look at this sheet and you can see what the bank does, because you are not going to be able to see those icons from a distance. I was picking up buildings, but after a point, if there's stuff on there, you can't pick up the buildings. And then in the rule book, it spreads over like 3 or 4 pages, because they do a really good job of detailing everything, but none of it's condensed.
Right.
Because they didn't have any type of reference aid. And then the only other thing is, since the money wants, it looks like US bills, because they're going for, again, that thematic, they're all the same size. So if you have severe vision issues like Will does, you're going to have to really make sure you keep your stacks of as 1s, 2s, and 5s very separate. And even then, the numbers on them are also really small. So you might still have issues telling them apart.
Yeah. Now, one of the things it really does right is the rule book is very well written.
It is.
I had no questions.
No.
We got through it. Like, yeah, okay, let's play that.
It's very thorough.
Yeah. Anything else?
Unfortunately, accessibility-wise, it does more wrong than it does right. So, but on the other hand, I don't think any of them are too horrible.
No, because like you said, the workers can be easily identified by playing the reverse side of them. If you have the aid from BGG, you can just, what's the name of the building? Right. I can figure that out. And it just plays so quickly that...
And even the money, you could, since it's only 3 different denominations, you could do substitutions with stuff from other games.
Yeah, or just keep it very separated.
Yep. All right. Conclusion then.
So, for 2 players.
No. Yes.
I think in this respect, Sarah would say no, and I would say yes.
I think that comes down to it. It's really going to depend on the type of player. It's going to be whether you like this game, which we'll cover in our review in more depth. I can't say that this is bad for 2 players. It's not also going to be great. It's going to really depend on the player.
Yeah, and for me, I say yes, because this hits that really nice, quick, tactical aspect. It actually has more production than you'd probably expect for the level and depth of the gameplay that's here, because it does spread out. It has its own big board, which it probably doesn't need.
It keeps it organized.
Yeah.
I personally wouldn't want to play without the board, just because it keeps the tiles organized in that reverse pyramid shape, even though things do go sideways and get a little messy.
Yeah, it just gives me a impression that it's going to be a bigger game than it is.
That's true. That is true.
But I thought it played fantastically as a 2-player tactical game.
I agree with that. I just agree it still may not be for all 2 players. All right, moving on to accessibility. This is really going to be a maybe.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with how well you are handling sepia tones and how much you're willing to put up with an old design. Because as we know, as games go on, people find out, oh, you know what? That's just a better way to do this.
Yeah.
This has dated itself in how it's graphically laid out.
Yeah. I mean, I would say if you're in good lighting and you have the printout from BGG for the reference sheet, I think you're going to be in good shape for most people.
Yeah. So that's why it's only a halfway maybe for accessibility.
Exactly.
Depends how much work you want to put into it.
Agreed.
If you're willing to put in the work, then sure. I think you can overcome that. All right. That will do it for us here, Rolling with 2. Hopefully you found that helpful. I'm not sure I did.
Will.
But if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out on the various social media platforms at
Rolling with 2, that's TWO. We're on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And on YouTube, please like and subscribe.
And why would you ever roll into town with just one when you can be rolling with 2?